Hey everybody. I just want to make sure that you all go see the movie The Sound of Freedom as soon as possible, please. It is very important. It was a very, very good movie. It was tastefully done considering the content, so you don't have to worry about seeing actual, sexual acts and all that terrible stuff. They block all that out. Obviously, if you're a grown adult with a brain, you can figure out what's going on without all having to see it. So don't get excited thinking you're going to go see some kind of, whatever, graphic film, because you're not. But, I can tell you, the movie had my heart pounding the whole time, because I am kind of a survivor 3 times, whether people want to believe that or not. When my family, sometime when I was in the end of high school career, I don't know if I was 18, 19 years old, I think I was 18, my parents took me and my family up to Canada. And one night I ended up hanging out with this group of people my age and got in a car with them, and they ended up driving 2 hours north somewhere in the middle of Canada and wouldn't bring me back to my family. And this girl was trying to get me to sleep with her and her mother, and it was really disgusting. And this other guy who was one of these girls' boyfriends or whatever, he said he was, leaving, and because they were going to say, oh, we're not bringing you all the way back, where we found you. They picked me up somewhere in, I don't know, somewhere near the Niagara Falls, and it was in an arcade or whatever. And my family didn't know where I was. My dad didn't know. They were panicking, and they were supposed to meet me at 11 o'clock outside the arcade, and I never showed up. I didn't get back to the hotel room until 3 in the morning. My dad was worried sick, and I told him I was abducted by these people, these crazy people. They said we were just going to this place down the street, and I was young and stupid, and next thing you know, they tell me when they're in the car that this girl's mom who was driving, they thought I was cute and this and that, and I was at the time, and they wanted to, hope that I was going to sleep with them or something. It was really bizarre and sick. And there was a couple other people in the car, and there was this other girl and this guy, and so anyway, this guy turned out to be this other girl's boyfriend, and after they they brought us back to this apartment somewhere, and it was almost an hour or 2 drive from where they picked me up from, and they're like, well, we could maybe bring you back tomorrow when we get up, but we're not going anywhere now. And I'm like, I gotta get back to my family. They don't even know where I am. I didn't have a cell phone at the time, nothing, right? So I was panicking. Then I ended up talking to this guy he was leaving the party, and I begged him to bring me back, and he did. So that was a terrifying experience. So yeah, you can get abducted at 18 years old. Especially if you're young and good looking. And then another time at 25 in 2005, I was in a magazine. I was featured as a model in a magazine called Talent in Motion magazine, and in New York. And I was invited to this event where they were celebrating people who were featured in the magazine. It was a red carpet event thing at this big club, and so I needed to go with a date. But my date, Melissa, God rest her soul now, she passed away in a car accident later that year, actually, in October of that year. But she broke her leg and couldn't go with me. So I went with my friend Kara Sinsky, and Kara was a very gorgeous, skinny, blonde girl at the time, beautiful, head turner. And we dressed up to the nines. She wore an old gold gown, a prom gown type thing. And I was in a tuxedo or whatever, and we went and got on the train, and she came as my date. We went to this party in New York. Well, lo and behold, long story short, we get in the wrong car. There was no room in the limousine with the editor-in-chief of the magazine, and we were supposed to be riding with her to this after party. And so we saw these other people get out of the limo and go into this big Mercedes that was in the line. And with these 2 guys that were in the club, and they weren't supposed to be in there unless they were on the list, right? So, long story short, we followed these other 2 girls into the back of this thinking that they're part of the entourage. So we get in the back of this car, but these girls got weirded out and jumped out and ended up going into the limo. Next thing you know, me and Kara in the back seat, and these two guys, the Spanish guy with glasses and this black guy, pull a gun on us and hand us a movie script and said, here, read these lines, keep reading these lines. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we're gonna be on a milk carton. So basically they were gonna kidnap us and put us into human sex trafficking. We probably would have been killed. So God again was on my side even then at 25. I just prayed, and I was an actor at the time, and so I said, Kara, just unbuckle your seatbelt. And these guys were driving fast, and when the entourage turned left, they went flying by, and that's when I knew we were in trouble, because they weren't going where everybody else is going. And so when I said something like, yeah, shut up, and they pulled a gun, right? So I just pretended to just be stupid and drunk and whatever, and naive. So long story short, I'm like telling Kara, I'm like, just read the stupid script to him. I gotta think. And I'm like, so I'm praying silently, and then I'm like, okay, just unbuckle your seatbelt. And so she carefully unbuckles her seatbelt. I took mine off. And then I said, listen, when the car comes to a stop, I'm going to pull you out, run like hell, right? So I started pretending I was sick. Like I was passing out, and I'm like, oh man, I drank too much, blah, blah, blah. And I started pretending to throw up in the back of his car, and the guy was like, no, it ain't our car, pull over, no, open the door, pull over, don't puke in the car. So that was my chance to open the door, pretend that I was drunk, and I grabbed Kara and we both fly out the back of the car. Now these guys are following us. We're running up the sidewalk, going back to where the entourage went, and these guys are following us, like, get in the car, and they're like driving along. We're like swearing at them back and forth. They got the gun. I'm like, what are you gonna do, shoot us in front of everybody? No. So we end up going into this place. We catch up with the rest of the entourage and go into this club. I was really upset, and I go up to the editor-in-chief, and she's sitting there at this coffee table in this club after hours with a mound of cocaine, and everybody's snorting. And I'm like, do you know what happened to me? She goes, oh, people go missing all the time. That's New York City. You shouldn't have gotten in a car that you didn't know people. And I'm like, you don't even care? She's like, not right now. She's like, hey, that's you know, she's like, that's welcome to the business. And I'm like, I will never. I was so traumatized that I didn't go back to New York for like 5 years after that. I didn't want to work in New York. And you got to understand, I was very good looking. I say that now because I don't look anything the way I did. But back then, I didn't realize that my looks were very good and unique, and that everybody sought after it, my boyish look. So these guys follow us into this place, and they're trying to get Kara and I to go with us. So we go up to the bar. I'm like, just order a drink, right? And I'm scoping the place out. And so they go, and they're hanging around near the door because they're figuring we have to go back out the way we came eventually, right? So I'm like, listen, Kara, don't look at them. Just pretend, you know, we're drinking, we're having a good time, we're talking, whatever. Finish your drink, and then the bathrooms are near the kitchen. Act like you're going to the bathroom, okay? You go first, but go into the kitchen. Don't go into the bathroom, and I'll meet you there. So she does. She goes quickly, and then when the guys had their backs to us, I just darted down this hall, and I saw the guys. I was looking back, and I saw them start coming. So we ran through this kitchen, and we're getting screamed at by all these people, like, you can't be back here, and we're just like running through like Titanic in the boiler room scene. And we run out the back door of this place, and we just ran like 5 city blocks to Grand Central Station. Poor Kara was in stilettos, and she's like, I can't run in these things, so she took them off and went barefoot. And we just ran and ran and ran and ran. They never caught up to us, and we got on the train. And the funny thing is, Kara's mother was a very paranoid person. She kept saying, I got a bad feeling about this. I don't want her going to New York. Kara's never been to New York with you, Steven. You know, don't go. I'm like, she's fine. She's with me. I do this all the time. Would you stop jinxing us? She's going to draw too much attention, and she really was gorgeous. We both were. And so we did get a lot of attention and photos taken of us and all this stuff. But not the kind of attention we wanted, obviously. So, you know, she was like 23 and I was 25 at the time, and you know, so it wasn't a good experience. And I didn't want to go back. I quit the biz for a while, and I didn't want to go back I didn't trust anybody. You can't trust anybody in that biz. You know, you go into these modeling things, and you go into, like, I have gone to some really sketchy, scary auditions by myself in Manhattan, in Harlem, you know, and you go down these dark, in nighttime, these dark corridors, and you don't know what you're going to find. And you end up going into a room, and there's like 3 or 4 people. It turns out to be legit casting directors and a camera, or so you think. They could be sex traffickers for all you know. You don't know. You take your chances. And, you know, I took a lot of chances, you know, and in that biz, because it was dangerous, but you had to. You know, people call me all the time, and not all of them went through my agent. So then I started only going to things that my agent sent me to, and no longer doing things on my own, because I was in some very sketchy situations where I knew I was in trouble and I had to run, or people trying to lock me in the room, men asking for sexual favors in order for me to get the role, all kinds of stuff. Almost got raped. So that was my experience. The second kidnapping, okay, so one at 18, another time at 25, and then, as a lot of you already know, when I was in seminary, there were some really bad people in high places in there, and one of these guys befriended me. He was a seminarian for the diocesan side named Wilbert Colas, a black kid, and I thought we hit it off. I thought he was a godsend. He knew so much about me. I thought he was like, either Jesus was telling him, or the devil was telling him, or somebody had my file. I don't know. But he befriended me as soon as I got to the school, and after about, 5-6 months, you know, I thought we were pretty close. We'd hang out all the time, have beers, smoke cigarettes, whatever. But him and his crew, these 3 guys, they were always really close to the higher-ups in the seminary. And they would always come to my room at night and try to, I don't know, put the moves on me and give me beer and like weird things, and ask me, is your allegiance to Pope Francis, and, you know, all this stuff, which I'd always say, no, my allegiance is to Jesus Christ, and stuff like that. So one day it gets on, you know, it's Christmas break, and the seminary tells me I gotta go back to be with my family, or I gotta go somewhere for Christmas break, and I have to stay with a friend or whatever. And they knew that my family disowned me, and I couldn't go stay with my family. They knew I didn't have any money, so where was I going to go? They're like, well, we'll pay for it, but, you know. So the seminary, long story short, Wilbur, arranges for me to supposedly stay with a priest in the El Paso diocese in El Paso, Texas, and says, you're going to go stay with this guy in his house. I did it myself. A lot of people do, and he'll help you get into the, we'll make a quick move before the second semester starts. You'll go right into El Paso diocese. So you're going to meet the bishop, okay, which I thought was too good to be true, and it was, because you don't just meet a bishop as a seminarian. And they said that the bishop was going to meet with me, and they were going to pull strings, you know, to get me out of the order that I was in and make me a diocesan priest. Well, I didn't have a choice. They bought the tickets and everything, and I had to go because I had nowhere to stay, and they wouldn't let me stay in my apartment. You know, like, what am I, 5? I had to leave. Those are the rules. The first 2 Christmases in the order, you have to leave for 2 weeks, go back into the world, and then come back and see, you know, if you miss your family, whatever. They're stupid. Well, they knew I didn't have a family or friends to go stay with. They knew I didn't have money. So I get sent to El Paso, and long story short, I get thrown into a van, picked up by these people at an airport who knew everything about me, and they were speaking in Spanish, and they were saying, he doesn't look the way he did in the photos on the internet. He got fat. He's a little older, you know, and he'll do. Are you sure? He'll have to do. Don't worry about it. And then they made me make a phone call to my stepmother and leave a message on the machine saying that, don't worry, I'm fine. You're not going to hear from me for a while, but everything's great, and don't worry. I'll call you. Don't try calling me, and you know, but it's going to be a while, so don't worry. Everything's fine. And I knew that was going to be the last message they would ever hear from me. So I just played along with it because I am very intuitive, and I could hear the Holy Spirit telling me, you know, I was in trouble. I knew I was in trouble, and I used to be a private detective. I've got many years of security training and anti-terrorist training and some karate and, you know, self-defense and lifeguarding, and I'm just very on top of my game. I'm very situation aware. And I'm also a very good actor. And so I just played it very, like, naive, like, oh, this is great, okay. Where are we going? Oh, we're getting in this van, okay. And they had these other guys with leather jackets and leather gloves, you know, and whatever. But they thought I was so naive and stupid that they kind of got rid of the bodyguards. And, they left me with this supposed husband and wife team who helps seminarians and introduces us to the priest who help us get into the diocese. Well, I end up getting, long story short, brought to a house, a compound in the middle of the desert, somewhere near the border of El Paso, an hour and a half away from the El Paso airport. And I was locked in there, and this place was a fortress, and you were trapped. And, you know, torture devices, meat scales, hooks, razor blades, just blood. It was a horrible experience. God helped me get out, and I don't want to say too much about it in case they ever see this video, so other people might be able to escape, but I went to the FBI, I did everything, nobody took it seriously. The district attorney even told me that if you do go to the FBI with this, they probably are aware of this. There's a big market for trafficking humans right now, so you might want to keep it to yourself, but if you go public, you know, you might end up missing or whatever. And if you go to the FBI, they're either going to help you or they're not. And if they don't, it's probably because they don't care to get involved, or they don't want it, or they're already involved in it, like personally involved, and they know. So what was I supposed to do? So I asked my priest in confession, I asked my deacon, I talked to a lot of people, I went on Church Militant, I told my story to thousands of people. A lot of them didn't want to believe it. They're like, dude, you're 39 years old and you're fat. Like, why would anybody want to abduct you? Well, they didn't realize that the photos that the people had of me were of when I was not fat, when I was 20 years old or 25 years old and a model. Okay. So they thought, you know, and sometimes I gain and lose a lot of weight because of my Hashimoto's thyroiditis, so I can get skinny and fat within a couple of days. It goes up, it goes down. There's days I look great, and then there's days I look terrible. It's always been that way. If I eat salt and stuff or whatever, or a big meal before a photo shoot, I look like this. Literally the next day. It happened when I was on Church Militant. I showed up, everybody's like, wow, how good looking and handsome you are, or whatever. Then the next day I was like, on camera, and they were all looking at me like, what happened? I'm like, you took us out to a big dinner with drinks and pasta and all you know, pasta fair or whatever, how we went, not Olive Garden. And they just kept feeding us all this bread and pasta and cheese. And I'm like, so the next day I looked terrible. I got no sleep. I was already jet lagged flying to Michigan. And then the next morning, crack of dawn, we had to be up and on the set to film our episode of Church Militant. So I looked tired and fat and bloated, you know, I didn't even have time to go to the bathroom. And so anyway, you know, the camera and I, we don't get along very well. The camera always adds 10, 20 pounds to me, even when I'm skinny, which is why celebrities are always usually skinny, because the camera will always make you look a lot bigger than you are. Like, for example, Kate Winslet, she looks all voluptuous, right? And she was a little bit more back then in Titanic, but when I saw her when we worked together on that movie, Revolutionary Road, she was a knockout. Skinny, perfect figure, gorgeous. Like, I did a double take. I'm like, wow, Kate Winslet's hot. But, you know, she doesn't seem like that when you film her. When you film her, her face fills out and everything. Leonardo DiCaprio is so skinny that literally when he was walking by a telephone pole, I couldn't see him. I'm not joking you. He's tall, lanky, and like a string bean. But he fills out on camera. So anyway, bottom line is, go see this movie, Sound of Freedom. I'm telling you, child sex trafficking is a major problem, but it's not just children. They'll take seminarians and satanically rape and sacrifice you and drink your blood. They do all kinds of sick things like that to religious people, young, especially good-looking young seminarians. They will, you know, I was about to be a missing persons on the other side. They were going to bring me over the border. They made me bring my passport and all this stuff. And I don't want to get into it. It's just very traumatic for me to go over my time with those people and the things they made me do. But, I got away, praise God, and I had to go back to that seminary, and they were surprised to see me back. One of them literally said, I never thought I'd see you again, and I'm like, you don't know my father. So Now, you got to understand, I sold my home and everything. My family disowned me when I went to seminary and said, don't ever come back if you do this. I had no money. I had nothing. That seminary was my home. And so when I had to leave because I was in danger there, when I got back, I left in the beginning of the second semester because I heard them talking again about me in a meeting at the Knights of Columbus office in the basement of Sacred Heart Seminary in Franklin, Wisconsin. They were talking about me, saying, Steve Deneau, what are we going to do with them? We got to get rid of him. Did you send the emails out? Make sure you get it done this time. And I'm like, so I heard that because I happened to be walking by at that time late. It was like 8 o'clock at night, and I was on my way to use the bathroom in the basement area because my roommate kept locking me out of the bathroom. We had a bathroom the rooms were adjoined by a bathroom. It was ridiculous. And, so that the fags homos, whatever you want to call it, could hook up and, go from room to room. It just, whatever, stupid thing to do, in a seminary, make people share a private bathroom together and attach the rooms like that. But, whatever. May that place burn down. As God is my witness, may it burn down brick by brick. I hope it's destroyed. And all the wicked people, those Freemasons who run the place, and the Satan worshipers there, and the homos there, let them all go down to hell where they belong, especially after what they did to me. But whatever. Don't go there, please. If you're going to be a seminarian, please don't ever go to Franklin, Wisconsin. Matter of fact, there are actually satanic schools and colleges and schools of witchcraft all over Wisconsin, always right down the street from a seminary or a religious order. Yeah, I'm not kidding. Look it up, people. Look it up. So anyway, this is such a big problem. And even human beings, even adults, even adult men go missing and get raped and murdered and enslaved and sex trafficked, especially if you're decent looking or if you're religious or whatever. Look, most people might not find me attractive, but there's some fat, pedophile, pervert, disgusting person out there with a lot of money who would probably still find me attractive and say, I'll pay anything for that one. Get me that one. And he'll probably order me and somebody will come and kidnap me again. And next thing you know, I'm raped and murdered. God knows. This is what happens. And this is something that's been going on for a long time. And people need to be aware of it. And I never thought I would have to worry and that I would ever be a victim of it myself. And when people don't believe me, it really just, you know what? Shame on you. Because it takes a lot of courage for me to have to tell this story to the public about things that happened to me. Like, I was naive when I was a teenager. I didn't expect to be taken from my family at 18. I didn't think I had to worry. I thought only kids got kidnapped. But no, I got kidnapped like an idiot at 18. And then forced by gunpoint in New York City by sex traffickers at age 25 from a Hollywood party. And then again, in seminary of all places. Here I am living in a seminary monastery, just trying to give my whole life to God, taking a vow of poverty. I figured that's it. Never in my life. I was worried people might hit on me or try to sleep with me or rape me, stuff like that, because you hear about that stuff. And I saw it. I saw it going on there with priests and seminarians and especially these poor guys who are on visas and they can't speak much English and they're tossed around in there and threatened and, taken advantage of. And they deal with it just so they can get an education and stay in the country. Sick. My roommate told me about it. He was one of them. And, but I thought that, I'm getting fat, nobody's going to want me. I don't have to worry about it. I'm not attractive. I purposely let myself get fat and gross because I didn't want to be attracted. I didn't want anybody being attracted to me in there. I didn't want to be hit on by my fellow seminarians. I didn't want to be hit on by some pervert priests, And what happened anyway? I got abducted and trafficked, but I got away. And I'm telling you, I wish everybody had this experience, and I don't know why God was so good to me and not millions of others. But God, literally, and I don't care who believes me or not, God got me out of that compound, and it was a compound. You could not get out of this place. Not without a key. And there was like 50-something doors, and there was a 10-foot wall around the entire property you could not get over. I got out. Okay? God got me out. I heard his voice very clearly. he led the way, and I was out. And then I ran for my life until I can get to a gas station, because 911 couldn't even find me out there on my phone. I left my luggage and everything in there, and I took my wallet and my cell phone, and I ran to the nearest gas station until I can get an address, and the police came and picked me up. So I'll tell you this much. We've been investigating ever since. I had people investigating this, and a private detective, and just a bunch of people, district attorney, and that priest, Father Rolando, you piece of shit. I hope you rot in hell. God forgive me, Lord. God forgive me, but these predators are out there. He was immediately moved from that home. The home was vacated and sold. He moved. The church, by the way, that he ran was right next door to the house they kept me in. Okay? So priest by day and trafficker at night. Murderer, trafficker at night. Wow. And there was bishops and all kinds of people involved in this. This is not a joke, people. God let me see just how penetrated the evil has become in the seminaries, in the Vatican, and in these dioceses. You know, and there were other people. There's this one kid, and I can't remember his name because he had this long Spanish name. And I saw his Facebook page, and I saw Wilbert with him in the Facebook page. He was from Fort Lauderdale. And I found his ticket in the same room they kept me locked up in the drawer. It was a one-way ticket with this kid's name on it. And that's why I saw this ticket. And I'm like, a one-way ticket here just a couple months ago. Why one way? And so I looked up his name, and I found him on Facebook, and I saw Wilbert with him, just as he did with me. And he had his arm around him. This was a young, gay 18 or something year old, 16, 18-year-old twink from Fort Lauderdale at a gay bar with Wilbert, who's now a priest, by the way, with his arms around him and wearing no shirt, with his arms around this kid. And next thing you know, the last time this kid was ever seen was in this house. And that kid must have known he was in trouble and purposely left. Why would he leave his plane ticket in the drawer? And the only reason I opened the drawer in this room was because I was looking for a Bible. Even though I had one, it was in my luggage. And, and I found it. So he was in that room. And that's why there was hair and semen and blood on those sheets and on the pillows and in the bathroom. And it just, I'm having a panic attack even thinking about this. I have nightmares, okay? Nightmares. And you know what? Nobody did anything. Nobody did anything for me. Those bastards are still out there. And I lost my reputation, my family, my vocation, everything. And all I wanted to do was go and become a priest, not be raped and locked up in a house and trafficked and almost killed. So you need to watch this movie and spread awareness, because there are survivors, but we are rare. And most people don't survive. So this struck a chord, and I almost didn't come to see it because I knew what I was going to see. I'm sorry, Dad. I don't mean to. I want you guys to know I am screwed up permanently. Probably for the rest of my life, because this didn't just happen to me once, not twice, 3 damn times. But the third time, these people were professional. And I'm telling you, if I didn't have God in my life, I wouldn't have made it out of there. I would be missing still. You would never have found me. And nobody did anything about it. Why am I still a Catholic? Because it's not God's fault that these perverts and evil people are in church. And my bastard family, you're probably all going to burn in hell too. I forgive you. My niece works for the FBI. Her husband's a cop or a lieutenant. My sister works for the police department. My other sister works for Sikorsky for the Marine One. My father was a cop. My stepmother knows everything. And when I escaped and I called them to tell them what had happened to me, they hung up on me and said, oh, well, don't call us ever again. You're dead to us. My own family left me in Texas. I was stuck there for a week while these people were still coming to the hotel, trying to break into the room, trying to get me to go with them in their car, demanding I leave the hotel with them. So I had to keep changing rooms and tell the hotel staff that tell them that I checked out, and I told them what was happening and that I was in danger. So they hid me for 7 days until my next flight out of there back to Connecticut, and then back to the seminary. Then I spent a week in a hotel in Connecticut with the last bit of my money, because I had to go somewhere. I had to get out of there. I couldn't stay there in Texas for what? Cost me like $1,400 to stay in that stupid hotel. It was all the money I had in my savings, and I was terrified. I couldn't even leave my room because those people were waiting for me every time I did, so I finally snuck out. And there's more to the story, and I'm so sick of telling it. And I talk to people, and I talk to police, and I talk to so many people, and maybe it's because it's such a normal thing, or the government, you have this asshole president, forgive my language, but this pedophile president in power. You don't think these people are aware of what's going on? Why do you think they dropped the borders? They're all pedophiles. They're all involved in this stuff. Your own government. United States is the worst. They make the most money on human trafficking. You would think other countries, but no, America. So, yeah, I'm pretty PTSD, and, I still go to church, and I still believe, because I know God exists. Trust me, and that is what makes me so powerful. I am telling you, Jesus is real. I know, because I've seen him, and I've seen his mother, and I know because he saved my life so many times from impossible situations. So don't sit there and look down at my videos, down your nose at my videos, saying, oh, he's crazy. Oh, he's one of those stupid Christians. Oh, he believes in a man in the sky. Yeah, I do, because he happens to be real, and you're going to find out one day. And by the time you do, you're going to be burning in hell as you deserve for rejecting him. So I'm telling you, I got nothing to gain. I don't want popularity. I don't want money. I want people to know that Jesus is real. And I was angry at God for a while. Why do you let these things happen to me? The most weirdest, horrendous things have happened to me in my life. And yet I still have faith. And I'm still a sinner, but I still have faith. That's why I'm passionate. That's why I keep preaching, because I know that I know. And my life was almost snuffed out because of what I know. So I don't want to hear it. If you don't want to believe in Jesus, get off my Facebook page and don't be my friend and get out of my life. Otherwise, back off, shut up, keep your opinions to yourself about my posts and my videos. I will do what the Lord wants me to do, what I feel compelled to do, because this is real and it's from my heart. Okay? I don't make money off of this. I'm not lying to you. Why would I do that? Who would lie about something like this? You think this is fun? Being terrified, looking over my shoulder the rest of my life? You have no idea. And my stupid family, I don't want to see you ever again. Don't come back. How can you do this to me? What did I ever do that I deserve this hell? How can you turn your back on your own blood, your own family, your own son, your own brother? What, just because I wanted to be a Christian, a priest? How can you leave me to almost be killed and kidnapped and just turn a blind eye? I would have been missing, and you didn't even care. That's why, because you don't care. You meant it when you said go kill yourself, go live under a bridge. Oh well, you don't care. So I'm done waiting for you to come back or waiting for the day you might actually care about me. I almost died. And my family are the only people who could have done something about it. You could have done an investigation. You could have sent help. You could have had the FBI come and get me out of there. And you left me there. You hung up on me when I called you. I had no choice but to go back to those wicked people in that seminary. And they plotted to get rid of me again, so I left. And my life has been hell ever since. I can't get a decent job. I have no credit. I have no family. I have few friends. I wish I could just die. Okay? I don't even want to live anymore, but I have to. And I have nothing to live for. I have a crap ministry that nobody seems to take seriously. I probably won't make it to heaven at all because I'm not a perfect saint. You can see, I'm just tired, all right? I try. If I had a chance to go be a priest tomorrow, I don't know if I could do it because I'm scared. I don't trust anybody. That was the last straw. How can I trust? I can't even trust priests or the Pope or bishops or my own formators, my own superiors. I couldn't trust them. They literally were going to have me killed. And worse. And nobody wants to believe it. No wonder we don't have vocations. No wonder there's very few people in the priesthood now. Who would want to? It's dangerous. You go there to college for 10 damn years. You're probably getting raped or go missing. Who are we serving in this Catholic Church? Huh? Jesus or Satan? I'll tell you, Satan's in there and he's running things. And he wants me dead. He's tried since I was born. My mother almost killed me when I was an infant, okay? She put pills and stuff and left me blue on the floor. My grandmother found me and brought me to the hospital. Saved my life. Thanks, Gram. I was almost out of here. How many times I've almost been killed in car accidents, botched up surgeries, plane crashes, kidnappings, guns in my face. Anaphylactic shock 3 times, drowned almost 4 times, and here I am. One of these days, my time will be up. So I have to spend the rest of my life, no matter how good or bad it is, preaching the truth. That Bible is true. Jesus is Lord. He will come back. You're going to see. Maybe not in your time, but you will meet him when you die. Rest assured. And you're going to feel so stupid that you didn't believe Christians and that you called us conspiracy theorists and crazy people when we were right and we tried to tell you the whole time. But you didn't listen. You didn't listen. Anyway, I knew this movie was going to bring something up that I didn't want to have to remember. But it does bother me every day, okay? And no amount of therapy or meds are going to make it go away. You don't know what it does when you feel that vulnerable and trapped. And you know you're going to die. And terrible things are going to happen to you. And there's nobody who's going to come help you. And what's worse is that I thought I was safe. Because here I was, this 39-year-old fat guy. Not even attractive. So I didn't have to worry about anything, right? Wrong. They would have still done whatever to me. Did you ever hear of Santeria? Okay, I don't want to get into it. Just don't be an idiot. You better believe in Jesus Christ. You better start going to church and watch this movie. Then you'll understand why I'm so upset right now. Because I had to sit there and the whole time knowing, yep, that happened. Yep, that's how they do it. Yep. Wow. It is almost impossible to get out, to escape. And being one of the people who did, and then having to look back and I don't have survivor's guilt, but I have that, like, I still, like, am I real? Did I wake up? Like, am I really? Is this a dream? Like, I escaped. That would have been me. The horror I avoided. And then I got to ask, why, God? Why did you answer my prayers and nobody else's? Where a lot of other people didn't get out. So, the cat's out of the bag. My mouth is too big. I put myself in danger all the time. But people's lives are on the line and souls are falling into hell every day. I've got to. God brought me through it, not to just so I can shut up, but so I can work for him and tell people the truth. That God is real and he answers prayers if you live for him, and Jesus Christ is Lord, and that there's a very real devil and this evil stuff going on in this world. And people need to know. That's why I'm alive. And only for that, to deliver a message. Repent and believe the gospel and obey Christ before it's too late. And be careful. Guard your kids. Be careful. I don't care how old you are. You're not safe in this world. You don't know who's lurking and watching and stalking and who's going to kill you or rape you. My friend the other day was in Walmart in the broad daylight in Branford, Connecticut. Ow. And she was mugged by 2 6-foot-tall guys in ski masks surrounded by people who did nothing to help her. An attractive 55-year-old girl, 54-year-old woman, broad daylight, walking to her car from the store, and they beat her up and stole her purse. And nobody even helped her. We live in a screwed up, dangerous world. We're all in danger. You need Jesus and his protection. And you need to be smart. Stop looking at your phone all the time. Be aware of what's going on. You can't be so trusting of anyone. And another reason why I don't want to get back into that Hollywood business is because I know what they did to me when I was a model and the terrible things I saw and the things they want you to do. Okay? You're a good-looking piece of meat, a piece of cattle, a slave in an auction. And if you're not careful, you'll end up, at the very least, raped or trafficked. I was very lucky, and I escaped some very, very scary and dangerous parties, penthouse parties where I was held hostage and almost raped, mounds of cocaine, all kinds of stuff. Hartford, New York. There's an ugly, dangerous, disgusting side to showbiz. So I'd rather be fat and ugly and stay off TV and be a nobody. I don't want anybody to know who I am anymore. I don't want anybody to remember Steve Dinello. In fact, I've even thought about leaving and changing my name because I just want a new life. And I thought that new life was seminary. But even all the way out in Wisconsin, people of all places, the kitchen staff knew who I was and saw some of the movies and TV shows I was in and kept telling me, you're Steve Dinello, you're Steve Dinello. And I kept trying to deny it, but then I couldn't deny it because they showed me videos at my table. This is you. And I'm like, please don't tell anybody. I'm not that person anymore. I'm almost 40. I just want to be a priest now. I'm not that person anymore. I'm not in Hollywood anymore. I want a new life. I want to just disappear and just go to heaven one day. That's it. I don't want any of that. I don't want fame and fortune. And, so I signed some autographs. Next thing you know, everybody found out anyway. Then I got in trouble for a while because they wrote up about it in the school paper and that I was an actor. And then they saw some of the stuff I did, which is not Christian. And that was another problem. And next thing you know, it must have gotten to the wrong attention to the wrong people who decided they wanted to sex traffic me or something. And so I was sent to my doom from seminary. They bought the tickets and they put me on the plane and they sent me. And my formator, Father Joseph Dean, of course they're all Vietnamese, he even said to me, he goes, we won't be seeing you again. Have a nice trip. I won't see you again. That was the last thing he said as I was leaving, and nobody else picked up on it. Except me, and I'm like, wait, what does that mean? What do you mean you won't see me again? I'm going to be back in 2 weeks. What are you talking about? You're sending me to stay with some priest to help him in the parish in El Paso for 2 weeks during Christmas break, right? Oh yeah, that's exactly what happened. No, I was almost killed. So I'm done. Please, people, you need to realize I'm telling you, and don't circulate this video because I don't want the whole world knowing my business. This is just for people on my Facebook page, Christian people, and people I grew up with, whatever. If you're on my Facebook page, I probably know you somehow, most likely. School, whatever, or, church. But yeah, there's a lot about me that you don't know, and that's probably, maybe if you did know me, you'd understand why I'm the way I am, okay? And why my life is so hard. And why I'm so sick all the time, okay? Stress will do that to you. I've had a hard life, and if it wasn't for this woman here, I would have been dead in 2020. I would have been dead. She's the only Christian who had a heart and took me in when nobody else would. And I'm sure she's probably regretting it now, but the point is, she saved my life, I saved hers, we're pretty much even, and I'm on God's good humor. I go where he tells me to go, I say what I believe he wants me to say, I believe I'm doing my ministry somehow. Maybe it's not supposed to reach millions, maybe it's supposed to reach a certain few, I don't know. But if you have children, you better keep a close guard on them at all times, because they will abduct them off the bus. And if you're trying to get into modeling and acting in Hollywood, please be advised, be careful. It's not a matter of if, but when you're brushing shoulders. Even these celebrities, and I will tell you, and I'm not going to mention names, but I did end up hooking up with some celebrities and stuff like that too during my time. Look, it was a party lifestyle, okay? I was in my 20s. You did whatever you did to get famous, right? And let me tell you, some of these A-listers they're satanic. They're satanic, they're evil, they're pedophiles. It's not that they're all pedophiles, but they become that way because it's part of the initiation, basically. So before I get whacked for saying too much, just don't be stupid, okay? Please. And stop ignoring people like me. The conspiracy theory people are the ones telling you the truth. We're the truthers. Not crazies, not liars, not kooks. Not conspiracy theorists. We're telling you the truth. And just because you didn't see it with your own eyes, or you didn't live through it, or you don't want to believe it, you don't want to take off your rose-colored glasses, you don't want to believe us, you call us kooks, liars, conspiracy theorists. It's because you can't handle the truth that we see and live, personally. I'm done. Go see the movie Sound of Freedom. I hope Jim Caviezel sees this video. I hope, Tim Tebow, I'm very disappointed in you. You have a human sex trafficking operation. No. You're trying to save people being trafficked, okay? And yet, I've reached out with my story numerous times now to your organization, Tim Tebow, and suddenly you just seem to have fallen off the map. I don't know. We don't hear from you anymore. Are you not doing it anymore? Are you not rescuing people anymore? I wanted to work for you. I wanted to tell my story. Nothing. I got nothing. What do I need to be, a little blonde 19-year-old girl with pigtails in order to get your attention? Is that what it is? But because I'm an older guy who's, went through it, I'm safe, so that's all that matters? Like, you don't care? Whatever. Listen, all I know is Jesus sees everything. He knows I'm telling the truth. He was there with me through it all. And sometimes God doesn't save us all the time from these terrible things that happen to us in life. But you need to rest assured of this. And I know it's no consolation, but He's going through it with you. When you're being raped and kidnapped and murdered or beaten or whatever you're going through in life, cancer, whatever, God is there. You and I just don't give Him any attention. We don't cry out to Him. We don't know He's there. It's our lack of faith. But He's there, and He sees it all, and He will reward you later. That's all I can say. I can't explain why God saves some and not others. I don't know why I've survived to be 43 when most of my best friends have died in car accidents or murder or cancer or drug overdoses or suicide attempts, and here I still am. Wishing I wasn't, because if I had known how my life was going to be, end up, and the terrible things I'd have to go through, one unnormal, supernaturally terrible, scary thing after another, like abductions and painful illnesses, you name it, I would not have wanted to do this. No. I wouldn't have said, Lord, yes, I don't think I could have followed Him. I don't think if He told me when I gave my life to Him at 26, if He told me and showed me all that I was going to have to go through, I don't think I could have. I wasn't brave enough. I couldn't have said yes. I couldn't have done it. I would say, Lord, I'm sorry. Choose someone else. That's why God doesn't show us everything, because we don't want to know. Tomorrow's got worries of its own, enough to worry about. Today's got its own worries to worry about. Tomorrow ain't promised to us anyway, so just be happy that you're alive at all. And please don't take life for granted. It is very short. Tell your family and friends that you love them, even if they don't love you back. Don't expect everybody to love you, even though they should, or you think that your family loves you or should love you, because that's just how it's supposed to be, right? But no, not in America anyway. No, the hardest pill I ever had to swallow in life was realizing that my own family could care less if I lived or died, was raped and murdered, kidnapped, they don't care. Could care less if I'm a priest. If they didn't respect me as a priest, they wouldn't respect me. They don't care. And I still care so much about them because I can't not care. As a Christian and as a person, I just care about everybody. And I'm always forgiving everybody. and it's just eating me inside. But they don't lose sleep at night. They don't care. And they never will. And you can't make people love you. So when people do love you, appreciate them and love them back. And you know what? God, He loves you. Jesus loves you and me. He died on that cross, a painful death, to prove how much He loves us. Why don't you love Him back, huh? How can you not love someone who literally went to the cross for you? I'm done. You figure it out.